What's going on, guys? So we are back for issue 3 of Predator vs. Spider-Man. And I gotta say, when it comes to stories like this, I often look at moments and I ask myself, what would I do in that situation? And there's a moment in this one where I gotta hear what you guys would do. But first, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this picks right up at the Daily Bugle, at the time when Peter noticed that him and Mr. Jameson were not alone. And man, this was a huge twist at the end of issue 2, because now with 3 additional Predators arriving, we learned that this group had made their way to New York to hunt down the bad blood Skinner Predator, who we already knew from the beginning this guy was on some other stuff, with the Skinner Predator showing no discretion. Anybody could get it, which was a clear sign that this guy had no code that he was following, which is why the boys are coming after him now. But with Peter being here at the Bugle with Mr. Jameson, he's got to be clever about finding a way to get Jameson out of the way, so he can suit up and handle these guys. But then it's also around this time when the power cuts back on, which is something that Peter uses in a moment here. But after trying to get Mr. Jameson to be quiet, which didn't work because it's Mr. Jameson, Peter then ended up telling them that they need to go. But Peter was smart about it. He used the old carrot on a stick method, because of course Jameson's like, we got work to do, why would we leave? It's a hot story. And that's where Peter was like, exactly, and I need to show you something that could be our next headline, which was enough to get Mr. Jameson to move. And mind you, this whole time the clock is ticking, because these 3 new Predators have made their way to the roof and they're getting ready to swing down into the building in a matter of seconds. So it was crucial that Peter got Mr. Jameson to move, and move quick with all that talking that he's doing, because by the time those 3 Predators crash through the window, Peter's already got Mr. Jameson in the elevator, which again, part of that is thanks to the power being back. So by the time they were in the elevator and Jonah heard that loud noise, it just turned into the perfect setup for Peter to send Jameson down the elevator and head towards the commotion while telling Jonah like, oh, I'll go check, be right down. And it just played out as like the perfect setup for Peter to create some space, suit up, and go and find out what he's dealing with. But also what's really interesting here, because we don't get dialogue for the Predators, it's really just a whole lot of clicks, just a whole lot of clicking. But as they're looking around the Bugle, one of them ends up finding something and calling the other 2 over, with that something being the information Peter collected on the Skinner Predator. As we're told, this is what the hunting party had come for, a blood trail. They are here for one of their own, the Yautja with no clan or code, the Yautja who disgraces them all, the one the humans call Skinner. He has left his mark across the city, and as soon as one of them pulls this drawing of the mark off the board, a web comes from behind them snatching it, like, excuse me, and Peter asks them, would you all be interested in sitting down for an interview? I have so many questions, but these guys all attack him at once with shurikens and everything. You already know Peter's coming with the quips. He's just like, great, once again, the press is under attack. And it's just like, oh man, Peter, focus, because these dudes ain't playing. But following this, we step away for a moment. We head to a rooftop where the service repair workers are working on getting the power back on. And keep in mind, as we're told, this is like the hottest time of the year in New York. So these guys are working hard, sweating bullets, but then an arrow comes flying into this transformer, causing a surge just before it blows up. But come to find out, this was Kraven's doing, with him saying here, we stay in the dark for now, New York. If news gets out about what's actually happening here, then the Avengers will show up. And I want this hunt all to myself. Which sounds like something Kraven would do without hesitation. Just prolong the danger, consequences be damned. And that's exactly how this plays out, because the next thing we're told here is that Kraven knew this would take time and patience, because this Predator was not his standard prey. Over the last few days, crime scenes had ranged from a nursing home in Harlem to the tiger habitat at the Bronx Zoo. A grizzly haunts rivers during the salmon runs, and the crocodile sinks below the surface of a watering hole, frequented by gazelle. But for Skinner, there is no such specificity to his taste, making him harder to anticipate. No one is safe. New York is a city of eyes, and windows, and cameras. Kraven knows that if this Predator has killed throughout the boroughs, and hasn't yet been seen or recorded, then it is traveling and hiding below, not above, like a hungry spider scrambling through the city's basement. Which tells us right there that Kraven knows where to look next as he makes his way into the subway entrance. And after this, when we go back down to MJ, who's made her way to the Skinner's throne room after running into this homeless guy who's like the tour guide down here. But after this guy's led her to the Skinner Predator's throne room, because back when MJ asked what that thing was that was killing everybody, this dude was like, oh, let me show you, and he brought her here. But now it's like MJ, she's seen enough and she's ready to get back up to the surface, because she's also trying to help this other girl she found on the subway, and now they're ready to go. But this guy tells her that sometimes it's safer down here than it is up there. So he tells them to keep quiet, and eventually he agrees to show them the way. But as they are heading through the different subtunnels, they hear a voice saying help. And this dude tells them right away that's him, that's the Skinner. But MJ's like, but it sounded like a woman. And this dude tells her that's how he tricks you, like a puppet man throwing voices. But then as they're following him, MJ notices that he's leading them through a path that goes down and not up. So she calls him out on it and she's like, well, you told us you were gonna help us get out of here. And he tells her that he will, after they hide, because the Skinner's coming and they gotta lose him first. And I gotta tell you, it's here where he leads them to this room full of rats. And he pushes MJ and this girl into this pool of rats while telling them to stay down as long as they can stand it. And I'll admit, at first I thought this dude was trying to kill them, like he was just sick. But that's not at all the case, because he's basically telling them to do what he would. But of course, when the ladies get pushed into the rat pool, they're screaming at first. But then it gets quiet and all you hear is the rats screeching. And this is how we're shown when the Skinner predator shows up, that the guy was using this to hide their thermal signature. Because again, after hearing the voice trap, he knew the Skinner predator wasn't far away. And when the Skinner gets here, only MJ and the girl from the subway were able to hide their thermals in time, leaving their tour guide friend out and exposed, with it basically being the case of him sacrificing himself to save them. But at least now MJ knows how to hide from this guy, and that could be useful information to either Craven or Peter. But this was the part that had me thinking, I gotta ask you guys, and be honest, if you had to hide under a pool of rats from a predator just to stay alive, could you do it? Because I'm gonna be honest, for me, I probably would have started levitating. But I just want to know what you guys would do, because I just don't know if I would have made it through the ratism. But either way, when we go back to Peter over at the Daily Bugle, we're given a bit of insight here on how these predators thought he was going to be an easy kill. Because we're told here the hunting party might have come for Skinner, but they are not above a little sport. This spider seems like an entertaining diversion, until he isn't. So yeah, they literally thought for a moment here that Spider-Man was going to be a little side quest, only to find out that he's a boss in his own right. And Peter finds out that these guys are packing more than he expected as well, because even though he can clearly see that there are just 3 of them, when they set their targeting on Peter, his spider sense goes crazy like he's fighting a dozen of them at one time. So he's quickly made aware of the fact that these guys got plenty up their sleeve. But after dodging the shoulder cannon blast from one of these guys, Peter yanks off his mask, because he's like, hey strangers, since we've never fought before, I'd love to get a face to go with the fishnet stocking bodysuit. But then when Peter sees its face, he's like, oh, on second thought, you can have the helmet back, my guy. And I like how Peter says here, usually the bad guys like to make a big speech about why they're making trouble in my neighborhood. But you guys are apparently the strong silent type. Because yeah, for Peter to be someone who talks so much, only to be going up against these predators who are quite the opposite, it almost feels like you're waiting for Peter to say something about it. And I mean, it's a small thing, but I'm glad that we got it. But right here, when the 2 of them go rushing at Peter, he catches them both with a web yank, so now he knows it's 2 down in this fight and 1 to go. And that's when we see the 3 dots on his forehead again. Just before this switches to outside, where Jameson notices some stuff going on up there just before his office explodes, and he's nearly crushed by this huge webbed-up object. Just before he's tackled out of the way by Detective LaPearl, who then goes on to say to him, have you ever asked yourself, Mr. Jameson, why trouble seems to follow Peter Parker everywhere he goes? But right now, Jonah's just like, Detective LaPearl, that's my mother flood-pucking office that just got destroyed. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm surrounded by idiots, incompetents, and assassins. Because you know, Jonah out here living that life. But as Detective LaPearl goes to check out this mysterious webbed up object, Jameson approaches it with her and he's like, what is that thing? And that's where one of these predators pop out, and it comes for them. But we're gonna have to wait till issue 4 to see where this goes. And it's crazy because it's leaving us with a triple cliffhanger. Because on one hand you got MJ, who's currently laying down in a pool of rats while having to stay quiet as a mouse to keep her thermals hidden. On the other hand, we got Peter with the 3 dots on his head just before the explosion. Then you got Jameson and Detective LaPearl up close and personal with one of the predators from the hunting party, who I'm surprised doesn't need a bacchiotomy because that was a long fall. Like, I'm legit surprised he ain't come out the bag like, oh, when I came down. Like, this one is a trooper. And as far as Craven, who we saw heading down into the subway, I'm not really counting him as a cliffhanger because he's either gonna pop up with MJ or the time thing will get shifted around before we see where he's really at. Nonetheless, I'm digging where this is going, and I already know the next issue is gonna be crazy. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments as far as how you think some of this might pan out, as well as the what would you do situation we talked about earlier. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.